Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and still with you and our continued coverage here of the U.S. presidential election, which is always held on a Tuesday, which has been that way for well over a century now. Now, what's the story behind voting on a Tuesday? It is in the U.S. Constitution that the presidential election is held every 4 years on the Tuesday after the first Monday of the month of November. And this year falls on the November the 3rd. This allocated day was amended in the Constitution back in 1845 by Congress. At the time, although large cities and populations were expanding across the U.S., it was still largely an agrarian society. Back then, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday were also considered days of worship, and Wednesdays were market days, only leaving Monday and Tuesday to vote. However, farmers would usually need at least a day to travel into large towns to cast their ballot. Therefore, Tuesday proved to be the most convenient day. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're delighted to be joined over the telephone by His Excellency Ambassador Mohamed Oraby, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. A very good afternoon to you, Mr. Ambassador.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you very much. Afternoon, sir. Thank you very much for joining us now. This is a very big day, not just for Americans, but for lots of nations worldwide who are still waiting for the results of the American presidential elections. Other countries might see a change in their relationship with the United States if a Democratic president came to power, and some of these countries include Iran, Afghanistan, and North Korea. Do you see these changes as being positive or negative, sir?
Well, let me start by saying that, this is unpredictable, I would say election. And so far, we cannot predict who will win, this race. But anyway, as you just said, the impact of the new president in the White House, I think it will have a tremendous impact on many nations and many areas of the world. And let us predict that, of course, some countries will be under pressure if, let us say, Biden will win the election. Some others will be also under pressure if Mr. Trump will win the election. So I think what I'm saying that, the era of the United States still exists.
Yes.
Because some people were talking about, yes, this is not the era of the United States, let us look to China or some other countries. But what we are doing today, all the observers waiting for the results,
yes,
which means that the era of the United States still exists and still prevail all over the world.
Indeed. Your Excellency, let's talk a bit about, since of course this being your field, in the Middle East, do the election results mean a big difference for the U.S. Foreign policy? Do you think any expectations regarding this issue would change?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think Mr. Trump, I would say he succeeded to cement the strategic relations between the United States and some countries in the Middle East, like, let us say, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Jordan, and so on. But I think Biden, if he will win the election, I think he will have an overall change in his approach towards the Middle East, and he might, have a sort of disengagement from this area and trying, to be more remote from the problems which is now in our region. But Mr. Trump, he was engaged, he was involved in many issues in the Middle East, let us say like in Libya and Syria. But Biden, maybe he will have a new thinking. And don't forget that Biden, he was an instrumental in this, administration of Mr. Obama, and he might, repeat this approach of Obama towards the area and try to encourage fundamentalisms, in order to be the political systems in the region.
Right. Sir, Your Excellency, Democrats usually adopt different positions on issues. If the world is to vote on U.S. elections that will go red or blue, what, in your opinion, is better for U.S. relations between Europe, for Europe?
Well, yes, Trump, I think he was a little bit disengaged himself, from the European affairs. And, he withdrew some troops from Germany, and he's not that man who is involved with France in many issues. So I think Biden, he will be maybe more close to the Europeans, and he's trying to improve his relationship with the EU. And of course, the UK also, I think he will do maybe more efforts in order to have or to strengthen his relationship with the UK. So the Europeans, I think they will be in a better position with Mr. Biden's administration.
Indeed. Now, Your Excellency, usually incumbent U.S. presidents often win a second term. Do you think that that is a possibility? Would it apply to Trump?
Yeah, but we should, also be aware that Trump in the first term, he will not be the same in the second term. So let us, be ready for that, everybody, and try to evaluate his first 100 days if he will win. And I think this will give us the impression that he will be a different president.
Absolutely. One final question, Your Excellency, if I may. Americans also decide on Tuesday which political party will control the U.S. Congress for the next 2 years. Of course, the Democrats pushing to recapture a Senate majority, expecting to retain their control of the House of Representatives. What are your expectations in this regard?
Well, I think this is a very important question because, the President himself, he cannot move and he cannot implement policies without majority in both houses.
Yes.
So this is a very difficult, situation for any president not to win the majority. I think Trump, when he won the majority in the Senate, they protected him from that sort of impeachment many, let us say, 2 years ago. But also it is very hard to say who will win. But I think the Democrats, I think they will get majorities in both houses. If Trump will win, I think this will be a very, I would say, negative aspects in his term because I think the Democrats will have majority in the Congress and the Senate.
Right. Your Excellency, Ambassador Mohamed Oraby, the former Foreign Minister, I'd like to thank you very, very much, sir, for joining us and for your insight on our continued coverage here at Now TV International. And still, of course, related to the American presidential elections, the American founding fathers decided that one elected civilian, which is the U.S. president, would lead the executive branch of the federal government, a government structure that has remained in place for over 200 years. Since the office was established in 1789, 44 men have served as U.S. president. Let's take a look at more information about U.S. former presidents in this report.